You know, any advocate, any activist knows that we do meaningful work regardless of the promise of a certain outcome or achievement. We do it because it is fundamentally important to do so. What motivated me to come forward when I was 16 at first was the fact that I identified a pretty glaring gap in our collective understanding of the reality of sex crimes. So much of the focus in our conversations, in our media, is on the superficial details, the physical details. How bad was the rape? How bad was the violence? And not enough focus is put on the psychological manipulation that underpins these things. And therefore, in our language, in our legal language, we don't properly encapsulate the gravity of things like abuse of a minor. The first media coverage of my case was teacher admits to affair with student. Affair, that language implies that it was consensual, and that in turn affected people's attitudes in the community. So you can start to see how our legal language has a huge impact on our cultures. So what remains are some poorly worded charges. We need to change those. And also glaring inconsistencies that in our legislation that pertains to sexual assault in general. So we've got 8 different jurisdictions, 8 different definitions of consent, 8 different definitions of sexual intercourse, 8 different definitions of what sexual assault actually is. And until we establish a uniform, standardised, consistent approach, we cannot possibly educate properly around these issues. It's as simple as that. So that's what I'm campaigning for, and bringing grooming and coercive control and other, however you want to term it, other terms of psychological manipulation to the forefront of our education. So those are the things that we talk about. So we can start to understand, for instance, why victim blaming cultures persist, because when you really learn about grooming, for instance, you see this is not something that people make up. The cost, the shame is just not worth it. Every voice matters. I always encourage people to remember that it's really uncomfortable, it can be really uncomfortable to have these conversations, but it's through these conversations that we start to develop our understanding and then can properly educate others. So it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be, grand scale education. It's as simple as informal conversations with your friends and family at home that can create a ripple effect of change.